Me. I'm in here. And my name is Claim Your Inheritance if you ain't already know. I understand. So, the lady that I promised that would be on today is not on. Okay, I apologize for that. She got cold feet. She said she's very, very shy and it feels highly uncomfortable sharing her testimony with people listening and interacting and asking her questions and things of this nature. So, that is very telling. She snitched on herself. Okay. Because it says right here, you see, it says right here. Oh, you can't get see it? Let me make it a little bigger for you. Let's do that. All right. As you can see, what is this thing doing here? Continue, man. Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. I saw that. I saw that at a night vision, or what you would call a sleeping dream, where I saw this return, and I mean, it was fast. They were actually on white horses in white raiment. That means clothing for those who don't know. And man, it was amazing. In that dream, those white horses and those men in white clothing flew zippity, lickety split, zoom, zoom over our heads, over the heads of everyone in Earth, right? And they were raining fire like on that Avengers movie. Raining fire. The fire was consuming vampires. Uh, I was looking around, having a normal day, and then I'm in somebody's house. I think it was one of my houses, in the future or something. It was a small house. So I'm looking out of my window, and I see off in the distance some incredible, amazing building that I've never seen in Earth. The architecture I had never seen before. I'm a aspiring uh, amateur architect, and I do construction and things of that nature. So I understand uh, buildings extremely well. So I'm looking out my window, and I see an amazing. I mean, it was a building that had the strangest architecture, the most unique architecture I had ever seen. So I decided to go outside and try to, take a little scroll down to that building. When I get outside, and there's vampires everywhere. Oh my. I'm literally afraid. I said, oh no, this is a nightmare. I better wake up. So I'm kind of skipping around like a kind of trying to avoid the vampires a little bit, maybe not running, but kind of dipping and dodging around little things, like cars and buildings and stuff, trying to get to that building down the street that I was interested in observing. It was under construction. The type of things that people do when they see new construction. They go look at the new construction. You ever seen people? It's a very interesting sight to behold. You understand? So people like to see that type of thing. That's a plug to Ahmaud Arbery. Yeah, that's what people do. they go look at new construction. So I'm walking around and trying to dip and dodge these vampires. Oh my! And zip zip zoom zoom. I'm talking about millions of ginormous white horses with ginormous people on the backs of these horses. They were wearing all white. That's what I saw in my dream. And they were raining fire. The fire consumed every vampire, every one of them. So when that episode, I mean that episode took about maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds, and I was more afraid of that than I was the vampires. So like, just imagine I'm seeing millions and millions of horses flying across my head for seconds, blotting out the sky, the whole sky, and fire is raining all around me. That's what I saw. And when that thing ended, that 30-second episode ended, there were no more vampires, and I felt refreshed and relieved. I'm looking around everywhere, and it's like, who in the world survived that rain of fire? And uh, there were people of all complexions and all nationalities all around me. Like I was like, what in the world? How did these people survive? I know that these people were similar to the vampires. They probably were. That's what I'm thinking in my mind, right? I was like, how did all these people, how did even I survive that? So I felt privileged. I like to call it black privilege because that's what we receive from God. You understand? So God is black and he gives us black privilege. So that's what I saw. That's what happened. And then once all the vampires were burnt up and they disappeared like that, like they do in the movies. You know what I'm saying? It turns like bodies turn into dust and then fade off into the wind or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And there's no trace of them. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty funny. And so I'm looking around and it's people, people everywhere for all complexions and things. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, this is amazing. Okay. So I guess they're gonna make it, and I thank them for that. So now another episode that I had, we're talking about miracles. Uh, that's easily dismissed as a dream. All right. So, but another episode that I had, oh, I forget what it was. But what I'm gonna do right at this time, I'm gonna play something for you before I get into the topic. Do miracles exist? Let's examine them, and then come to a decent conclusion, like a logical, rational conclusion. Let's do that. Okay, let me go here and play something for you that is supposed to be the most correct information that I've seen in a very, very highly long time. I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear this, but I'm gonna play it anyway. A civil unrest like this, there are three types of people in the street. There are the protesters, there are the rioters, and there are the looters. The protesters are there because they actually care about what's happening in the community and what rioters, what activists, what activists who really just want to fuck shit up, and that's what they're going to do regardless. And then you have the looters, and the looters almost exclusively are just there to do that, to loot. Now, people are like, what did you gain? What did you get from looting? I think that as long as we're focusing on the what, we're not focusing on the why. And that's my issue with that. Okay, she asked, "Do you understand that?" Because they're linked. I mean, I don't know if you can hear this video, but what she said was black people were kidnapped and brought over here in order to perform uh, the farming in the South and the textile work in the North. So they're linked. Of course, everybody can understand that they're linked. You know what I mean? If you pick cotton in the South and then you ship it to the North in order for it to be processed and manufactured into clothing, well, that's the textile side of it. And that's why we were brought here in order to perform economics, right? And then she's going to go on to talk about an example of monopoly. Well, she's crying because I mean that was jam packed with the truth. Okay, so the most powerful speech about the Black Lives Matter protest you will ever hear, and I tend to agree. I mean, how short was that? That was 5 minutes long. I know we don't have attention spans that long, but man, that just gave me chills. So, back to the story, right? Miracles. We have the miracle that a young lady decided, I don't know, she decided to share with me because I asked her, please share your miracle with me. I asked her to get on the what do you call the computer and express it to the people. But she got cold feet, like I said. Okay, so she was sending me messages about Jesus for months and months. But then, you know, as I decided to go live, I decided to invite her on the show. She said, "Great, man, I'd love to. Could I get your testimony on my channel and interview you about politics?" My question meant, did you forget any details? I want to question you about your heaven and hell testimony to see if I can jog your memory of it, because I wanted to see if she saw anybody in her uh, vision. I don't know if it was a night vision or a day vision because I wanted to ask her that, but she got cold feet, and you know I blame her for that. And I do. It's her fault. So try not to be upset with me for her not coming on here. So I meant to get another Christian on here uh, to talk about it, but I simply forgot to invite her. I mean, you know, uh, this Christian here, Anastasia. Okay, so I will text you my experience instead of voice. Also, I don't know anything about politics. I got pulled out of my body. Then I fell into a black space until I reached the ground. I opened my eyes and was surrounded by demons and souls screaming very intensely. I seen two huge. See, she doesn't have proper grammar because she's German, so don't excuse her. Excuse her English. I seen two huge dogs in front of me that were about 20 times the size of a Rottweiler, and they were on fire and filled with maggots. They looked at me like a fresh piece of meat. I was wondering why they couldn't get to me. Then I realized I was on an island surrounded by light. And then I said, Jesus. A glowing cross appeared on top of the sky and pulled me out. Heaven was amazing. I had two white lions that I could pet. My feet didn't touch the floor because I was hovering. Flowers in colors I never seen before. And the sky was full of diamonds. There was water slides and pure radiant light everywhere. Those were two of the visions I received. So, you know, and you know, it was very interesting. But you know, I was mad, so I said, I advertised you being on the show. It's 5 right now. Yeah, can you get on later at 9, 8 or 9? We don't need to talk about politics. I'm extremely curious about the miracle. Check my page. I advertised this already. My audience will react bad if you don't come on. You can keep your cam off, and we'll skip politics. You don't know who you'll be helping. No, she didn't feel that at all. She's heartless. I already told you about the visions God gave me. I don't want to be asked questions while people listen and I'm not comfortable with it. Your audience follows Jesus, right? Uh, no, they don't. So I'm sure they will be understanding and loving. You can feel free to share the message I send you if you think my experience will help others. I'm sorry I said yes. I'm really not comfortable with it while people are listening, but you can feel free to share my message. On YouTube, there are many people that saw heaven and hell, and they have videos. I'm sure they don't mind you to share them. And I don't know which page you're talking about because I share to many different pages. Okay, so she's clearly slow because I'm talking about my personal page. I don't understand why she keeps writing me and doesn't know who she's talking to, or she's not my Facebook friend or anything. You understand? Let me just see if it'll pull up here. Well, it's not pulling up, but she's not my Facebook friend at all. So I don't understand why she's sending me messages about Jesus, but nonetheless, I thanked her for the encouragement. So now let's examine this miracle, this vision, right? And so I got pulled out of my body. Then I fell into a black space. I've heard this so many times, so many times. So I don't know if she's parroting it or she actually experienced it because this is what people report in near death experiences. But she didn't have a near death experience. She just had a either a night vision, a dream, or a day vision where you are awake and then you are whisked away uh, out of your body. I got pulled out of my body. See what I'm saying? Then I fell into a black space. Yeah, so maybe it was a day vision. You know what I mean? Why when you're fully awake and fully aware, and then all of a sudden, the people that see you see a passed out body on the floor or a body in a trance and your spirit is whisked away out of your body. And she fell into a black space until she reached the ground. I've heard that report thousands of times. I opened my eyes and was surrounded by demons. Whoa, those are similar to the vampires that I saw in my dream. And souls screaming very intensely. Man, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. That must be very scary. I saw two huge dogs in front of me that was about 20 times the size of a Rottweiler, and they were on fire and filled with maggots. Whoo, man, I'm getting scared already. I don't want to see that. I ask the Most High often, please don't allow me to see hell or to experience hell for like the 30 seconds or a minute that others experience hell. And then, I guess the Most High wants to show certain people that hell is real. Because I think she's been a Christian ever since this happened to her. And so um, this just happened to her maybe March, I want to say. And probably before that, she was probably an atheist, like most people are. They're atheists. And so I saw two huge, 30, 54, I feel for fire, it's filled with maggots. So I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the fire. There's been the most sincere report I've ever witnessed was the other day, and he said there is no fire in hell at all. It's lava, and this is what you're consumed by. This is what your flesh is consumed by in hell, your spiritual flesh. So you feel the pain of the lava, The lava gives you an extraordinarily intense pain in every cell of your body, from another report. But she didn't report that because she was surrounded by light and on an island in hell. Uh, and she realized as an atheist that she was in hell and she spoke the word Jesus, right? I was wondering why they couldn't get you when she was on an island and she spoke the word Jesus. So that's the for lack of a better term, that's the code word, that's the magic word, Jesus. A glowing cross appeared on top of the sky and pulled me out. So she was whisked away to heaven. See, the report in the Bible, with the rich man being in hell and Lazarus being in Abraham's bosom, the rich man asked the Most High or begged the Most High, please, uh, if you would. He didn't ask, could he get out? He asked, could he come back to life? You know what I'm saying? And then people will believe his report and whatnot. And the Most High, being infinitely more intelligent than the rich man, informed the rich man that if they can't believe the people that I've sent, the number of people that I've sent to them, they're not going to believe you. Okay, so you're shit out of luck, brother. So he's still in hell now. So since the Most High turned him down, uh, that was an eternity ago. It was a long time ago. So uh, since the Most High turned him down, what he decided to do was ask him if Lazarus, who the man who he had abused in earth as he was a rich man, Lazarus, if he begged the Most High to have Lazarus dip his finger in water and dab it on the tip of his tongue because he was just that thirsty. No, the Most High turned him down for that. So I'm sorry, people. You atheists are not going to be. You're not going to be consoled in hell. Sorry, no. There's no pity. No pity in hell. It's over for you. It's too late. Your time is up. Your time has come. And so what you need to do now is repent before it's too late and determine that somebody created the heavens and the earth. And that thing that created the heavens and the earth, or that person who created the heavens and the earth, is much more powerful than you, infinitely more powerful than you, infinitely smarter than you. He has rules. He has rules. And if you break those rules, you end up where she went, to hell. So she was shown a vision of heaven and hell, and then she came back to her body, and it affected her so dramatically that she became quote unquote Christian just a few months ago. She's been an atheist her whole life. She's clearly in her 30s, I want to say. So, that's a long time to be an atheist. I was an atheist, maybe not an atheist, but I was ratchet for maybe 10 years, and so I call ratchetness being a Satanist, and so I just live any type of way and did as I want, as did as I whatever I chose. So now let's examine this. this may have could have possibly been a dream. Even in a dream is not compelling enough for people to s- change their mind about things, right? I mean, just a dramatic change like this. Okay, so you say, I had a dream last night, man. That was so interesting, right? And then, you examine it and say, you know what, that may be something that's about to happen, or, it's telling me something. These are people who love to examine their dreams and stuff like that. They think every one of their dreams has meaning. I tend to agree. So, uh, she went from a full blown atheist. That was her diagnosis. She was a full blown atheist to believing in Jesus and God and heaven and hell. She saw two white lions that she was able to pet. Now, the testimony that I saw the other day gave that exact same report. Okay, so that's why I wanted to ask her about these white lions, because in the report the other day, the young man, I guess he was about 24, 25, right? And the experience had happened maybe I don't know, a year before he reported it on like a big platform. And so he said that he went to hell first. So this was a near death experience. So he was dying or something, something that happened very suddenly, and he was dying. This lady didn't report dying. You understand? So it's easy to explain away these type of visions in near death experiences because your body chemistry is way off and is similar to being super high on drugs. So this lady doesn't do drugs at all. So that's what happened. And so he said he died, and then the moment he died, his spirit that was in his body uh, was flying overhead of the car that his father was driving to the hospital. So he died in the car on the way to the hospital. His father was driving him to the hospital, to the emergency room, because he was dying. And he got a phone call from his wife. And at that moment, when he spoke to his wife, he died. His spirit zipped up into a bird that was flying overhead that I call an eagle, because he said, I felt like an eagle. But of course, when you are looking in the third person from the vision of something else, he you can't the bird can't see its own body as it's flying, you understand? So the bird is looking at the vehicle and following the vehicle all the way to the hospital. So that's why I call it an eagle, because he said I felt like an eagle. So the bird is flying. He's seeing the car get all the way to the hospital, and then once it got to the hospital, boom, snap, zoom. In an instant, he had fell into the black space and landed in hell. You see? So these type of testimonies should be consistent. And so he said after he uh, got out of hell, okay, some type of way, um, you know, he went to heaven. And so when he went to heaven, he was standing directly in front of God himself. He was a bright, super bright light that doesn't hurt your eyes, sitting in a clear throne. Okay. He said he saw three beings on either side of the throne. One being was what he considered to be an angel that had six wings. And this is a person who never read the Bible, never read the Bible. And so he saw a person standing very confidently with six wings on its back. And we read that in the Bible, of course. Okay, let me show you that. So he said he saw this, okay? And the four beasts had each of them six wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 most high power, almighty, which was and is to come. And it stood above it stood the seraphims, with each one had six wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. So you got it. Two of his wings covered his face, two of his wings covered his feet, and then the other two wings the seraphims used to fly. So now peep and understand how he expressed seeing the six wings. He didn't say, I saw the confident angel standing there with six wings. He said, I saw an angel standing extremely confidently, you know, I can only imagine the pose that the angel was in. He said, I saw the angel standing confidently, and he had two wings separated in three parts. So you got one wing on one side in three parts, and one wing on the other side in three parts. So he didn't understand what he was looking at, and that's how he explained it, because he had never read the Bible. You understand? So that's what he was seeing, the six wing seraphim. So now he also said, that's what I'm trying to get to here in this report, her report. She said she saw two white lions. He said he saw one white lion. One white lion that was full of eyes all over its body. So both of these two angels, for lack of a better word, that he saw were staring only at God in the throne. They didn't pay him any attention at all. They were staring at God in the throne. Okay. So I wanted to, compare that vision to her vision, and she's not comfortable with it. So I'm forced to do it myself. All right. So I wanted to ask her, the two white lions that she could pet, did they have eyes all over them? I wanted to ask her that. Is it? And then you have he said he saw another being that he couldn't make out, that looked like a man. He said the being looked like a man and had on a dress that was all white. I mean, it was like in the scenario that I brought up earlier about the men on the white horses, and they were wearing all white from their neck to their feet, right? That's what he saw. He saw something that looked like a man. He couldn't make it out, and he was wearing all white from his neck to his feet, And that's all he said about it. You see, I wanted to ask her about that, but however, I've already seen that, so uh, I know that he was speaking of Jesus. So the reason that it couldn't make out the make it out, it couldn't figure out what he was looking at, is because Jesus is severely uh, deformed, right? Severely deformed. All right. Let me show you something here. Severely deformed. That's what Jesus is, right? Let me show you something here. All righty. So this young man, he was 14 years old when the white lady that confessed a few years ago, she confessed that this young man did not whistle at her and did not flirt with her. He's 14. Okay. So now and then after his death, he this is what he looks like right here. Doesn't look anything like the 14-year-old young man. He's severely deformed. You see that? Swollen head, swollen eyes, swollen lips, swollen cheeks, deformed ear here, deformed eye. This is what Jesus looks like. So when people see Jesus, they don't know what they're looking at, right? So when I saw Jesus, he had on a lion mask. I guess to not scare me because I was 13 or 14 whenever I saw Jesus. So he had on a lion mask, and I, I, he was moving very deliberately, slowly, in order to not frighten me. Right? That's the rationality that I took with his movements because he was moving extremely slow, uh, and so I saw a man do that one time in quote unquote real life, but I don't think this life is real. That heaven is more real than here, very much so. And so I was wondering. I said, he's moving exactly like Jesus. He's moving like he was approaching me very, very slowly. Because I had asked him, he had owed me a few bucks, right? I asked him for a pack of cigarettes, and he was moving very, very slowly towards me to hand me a pack of cigarettes. And it just, I mean, everything reminds me of the episode of me seeing Jesus. You see what I'm saying? So this is what people would see uh, if they saw Jesus' face. They would see a very deformed Jesus, and so they would judge him instantly. They would instantly judge him and say, "Oh man, he looks terrible," and all this stuff. Uh, so there's a episode in the Bible uh, that I can't seem to find right now where um, that backs up what I'm saying here about his face. So his face, you're not supposed to view his face, or you won't be able to go to heaven. The reason that you won't be able to go to heaven is because you will judge his face and say, "Oh man, he's ugly," because your eyes are looking at his exterior and judging his aesthetic. But yeah, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to um, judge people's character, right? Right? Yeah, I know I'm right. I'm just letting you know that I'm correct. So that's what happened. And so where am I at? Where's the Facebook? Okay, let's get to the Facebook. right here. Okay. So I wanted to ask her about the white lions, white hair lions, and because that's man, that's consistent with his testimony. His testimony said he saw white lion, one white lion, right? Okay, to get to it, saw one white lion with eyes all over the body of the lion, and every eye on the lion's body was staring at the God sitting in the throne. The angel that was standing confidently with the two wings separated in three parts was staring at God in the throne. He saw another man from head to foot that he couldn't make out. He said looked like a man. The reason he looked like a man because he was deformed. And so since Jesus is deformed, he wears a lion mask. Okay, in order to not, because we can't look on their face. We're not allowed to look at his face because he's deformed, and we will judge him improperly. So I wanted to ask her about those things. You know, that would have been made for a very interesting back and forth conversation. And so I wanted to ask her, did the lions that she saw, the two white lions that she saw, did they have eyes on them? You know, just gauging the consistency of the thousands of testimonies that I've seen over the years. I just uh, mm, dedicated my life to God, and not too long ago in 2007. 2007. That's what I call my rebirth. 2007. So 13 years, and then in 2010, I found out my nationality, my true nationality, which is tied to the Bible. So I thought that was an interesting anecdote that she shared on her YouTube page, and it just so happens that she has been sending me encouraging messages about accept Jesus and stuff like this. So how did you find my page? I mean, you don't know me. You know what I'm saying? You think I don't accept Jesus? I I'm semi ostracized from my own community because I accept Jesus. You see what I'm saying? I say the name Jesus, and I know the power that it holds because I've seen Jesus face to face. So the first thing that he asked me after he walked up to me very slowly, like he walked up maybe about 10 yards away from me. Okay, so let me tell you my story. This was a what can be rationalized as a sleepwalking episode. Let me turn my camera on right here so y'all can see what I'm doing here. This can be rationalized as a sleepwalking episode. You understand? Let me turn my camera on here. Okay. Okay, come on, camera. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why is my camera not turning on? Come on, Restream. Let's act right. Okay. So somehow my camera is not turning on. I don't know why that's happening. So I'm gonna have to, I don't know. I'm gonna stop sharing And then I'm going to turn my camera back on. Let's see if it'll kick in. It's not kicking in. So I don't know what the problem is. So I'm just going to keep it on maybe something visual here. Let's keep it on something visual. I don't know. Here. Uh, I want to tell you about my vision and my experience, right? So in my experience, I've spent my whole life examining my experience. It may have been maybe I don't know 3 minutes long in real time, and um, I was outside of my body. I didn't know that until I went back into my body. Okay, so I was outside of my body, standing in a cloud, a cloud not unlike any of these clouds. I was standing inside of that cloud. Okay, and I'm 13 or 14. Oh, I can't never remember the exact age for some reason. But then the episode was so vivid that I remember almost every detail, right? Because I can't count the steps that he took towards me multiple times. I can't count the uh, other things that I saw, right? So I'm in this cloud, and this cloud uh, had the space. It was spacious inside of the cloud, like a room, like a. The room was not that large. Maybe the size of like maybe a middle class living room. You know, maybe 60 feet and 60 by 60 by 30ish, something like that, right? So I'm standing inside of the cloud, right? Okay, so I said, "Oh my, I'm standing inside of a cloud. This is great. It's amazing." So I said, "How am I floating like this? This won't I fall or something?" So I looked down, and the cloud opened up to allow my vision to see my grandmother's house that I was hovering above. Okay. Oh, so this episode happened in my grandmother's house. She's like the most righteous person I've ever met in my entire life. Yeah, that's right. Except for Jesus, right, you know. So I looked down. The cloud opened up, and I saw my grandmother's house beneath me. And then the cloud closed back up, and which drew my attention back forward. So then a man, uh, t- I recognized the man instantly because, and I grew up in the Christian mentality. You know what I mean? As a child, you know what I'm saying? My mother would take me to church and things of this nature, and she was uh, heavily respected and highly respected uh, political figure, behind the scenes political figure. So she took me to church all the time. So now back to the vision. Let me try to start. Let me tell the vision straight through without interruption, and then I'll break it down. Okay, bear with me. So I'm in the cloud. I'm standing in the cloud. I look down. The cloud opens up and shows me my grandmother's house with the fruit trees that were in her front and backyard and stuff like that. The cloud closes back, which drew my attention forward again. So I'm just looking around this cloud room, this room cloud, or whatever, or whatever word you can use for that. It was a, a cloudy room. Not, it wasn't cloudy at all. It was clear, like you could see very clearly, but the walls, the ceiling, and the floor were made of cloud particles, cloud particles. You understand? So my vision was not um, obstructed by cloud particles at all. I could see my hands very extremely clearly and things of this nature. So a man walked into my peripheral uh, very, very slowly and deliberately, right? From so if I'm looking forward, he would enter into my peripheral from my left. So he walked through the cloud wall and walked very slowly and deliberately about 10 yards away from me and positioned himself, centered himself directly in front of me. So I'm thinking to myself, that's the man. Yeah, I know that guy, right? To me, who do you say that I am? I said, my response was, you're Jesus Christ. Everybody knows you. His response to me was, you have answered well. That's it. After he responded, you have answered well, he started moving towards me very slowly, very deliberately. I couldn't see his face because, as I told you, he had on a gray lion mask that looked Asian. The lion mask looked like an Asian, like a Asian lion that you see in Asian art. Oh yeah, I'm up on my art too now. I understand art. So the lion mask looked like an Asian lion that you see in Asian art. Okay. Let me see if I can find an example of that for you. All right. Asian lion that that you see in Asian art. All right. Asian lion art. All right. So I'm not talking about an actual Asian lion. You understand? Like an actual lion of Asia. Like it didn't look anything like a real lion. It looked like, maybe, I don't know if you can see this well enough, but it looked like one of these type of faces. But the mouth was closed, so it wasn't fierce looking like this one. So that's what I saw, and he had white uh, from neck to foot, and as his feet shuffled through the cloud, this is very similar to what I saw right here. So, uh, or even I can show you this on. Let me see here. Take a look at here. Look at my logos here. We might be getting a little too personal here, but take a look at this. Feast your eyeballs on this right here. Yeah, kind of like that. So, okay, so this is my logo, Canuju Club of New Jerusalem. Okay, so this is the type of face that I saw because it wasn't from the side or anything like that. I was directly in front of him, so I didn't see like uh, all those things. But it's very interesting. Oops, I should have did that a long time ago. But here, let me get back here. Okay, so this is what I remember the face looking like. This is how I knew he had on a mask because no human face looks like that at all. Okay, so he's walking towards me. Then he walked behind me. Then he put his hand on my head, and then boom, zoop! I was back into in my body, and I was standing in my grandmother's hallway. My grandmother's hallway. There's a old heater or something, and my grandmother was standing behind the heater, and my aunt was standing to her right. I mean, or her left, but I'm looking at them, so my right, her left. And they asked, uh, my, no, yeah. Well, so when I went back into my body, I'm standing in the hallway and they're standing there in front of me, but they're kind of semi hiding behind the heater. The heater is nothing but like 2.5 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? And I guess they thought, I don't know, they thought it was going to protect them or something from whatever I'm about to do or something. You know what I mean? If I'm uh uh I told you this episode could be rationalized away as a sleepwalking episode. So if I'm sleepwalking, they don't know what I'm about to do in my sleep. You understand? So they're hiding behind a little heater, right? And so I said, "What's going on?" Because I noticed that they looked afraid. They looked very afraid. I said, "What's going on?" My aunt said, "You tell us. What are you doing?" I said, "What am I doing? Last thing I knew, I was asleep." And my uncle comes out of the back room and said, "Hey, come here a second." So I walked into the back room with him and into my grandmother's room with him. And he said to me, uh, "I'm going to show you something. And I want you to tell me if this is what you saw. Okay?" I said, "Okay, no problem. I surely will. I will be honest with you." So he shows me a Polaroid picture. This is back, yeah, yeah. I'm that old, brother. So he shows me a Polaroid picture. In the Polaroid picture was the man that I saw. However, the man that I saw, however, the picture is not from my vantage point. Okay, looking at the picture. So the picture. Let me see if I can show you something here. So I told you that I saw a man walk in front of me and asked me a question, and then approved my answer. Approved of my answer. All right. So let's just find somebody here, right? So so just as you're seeing this man in front of us, right? That's how I saw him, but hold on, I saw his full body. So let me. I'm trying to give you a visualization. Okay, that's how I saw him. I saw a man standing in front of me. I saw his feet. I saw his entire body, right? But his feet were covered by the cloud particles that I told you that made up the floor. So I couldn't see his actual feet, but I could see this is what I could see, this whole thing. So, I estimated that at maybe about 10 yards away, I suppose. And so he came in, he walked in very slowly from this side, very slowly, centered himself in front of me like this, and asked me, "Who do you say that I am?" And I said, "You're Jesus Christ. Everybody knows you." And he said, "You have answered well." Then he walked slowly behind me like this, and then put his hand on my head and zoom, zip, I'm back in my body. So I'm in the hallway, okay? But when he showed me the Polaroid picture of the man, he sees this. So, but the way I said it's impossible for him to see what I saw, right? So I had to rationalize that as whenever Jesus walked behind me he walked behind me like that, and then put his hand on my head. Whenever he did that, is when my uncle took the picture. So Jesus was standing where I was standing behind me. You understand? So I couldn't see myself at all. So apparently, uh, Jesus had sent me back to my body, and I had not fully awoken from the. I had not fully awoken, and he instructed my uncle to take a picture of him. But he was standing in my place now. He's no longer standing here. He had repositioned himself to stand behind me. So he had spent 180 degrees in order to face the camera, right? So, but this is what I saw in the picture as well. But the problem with the picture is that it wasn't bright white like what I saw in the cloud. In the cloud, it was bright white like this with cloud particles making up the walls behind here, the walls on this side, the walls on this side, and the floor beneath. You see? That's what the cloud particles was making up. So the room was just as clear as you can see here. So let me see if I can make this okay bigger, a little bigger. So just as clear as you can see this is how the room clarity was. The walls were very bright. The the ceiling was very bright. I looked at the ceiling. I looked at the floor, and I looked the cloud had opened up in order to reveal that I was hovering above my grandmother's house. So now that's what I saw. Okay, so the clarity was not obstructed at all. I could see very clearly. So what I'm telling you is, I mean, the, you see, like I said, the memory is not um, super flawless because I can't tell you how many steps it took him to center himself in front of me like this. It was like if I could think back now, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it may have been 5 steps to position himself in front of me like this, right? Then he started walking behind me like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Behind me. Okay. So now he's behind me, put his hand on my head, boom, I'm back in my body. So I don't know how many steps that was. When I looked through the cloud floor, I could not count the leaves on the trees. I could not count the shingles on my grandmother's roof. I couldn't even count the windows at my grandmother's house. I couldn't count the blades of grass. I couldn't count the fruit that was on the trees that I'm looking at. You see what I'm saying? So I wasn't omnipotent. I was just me. I was just myself, and with my normal memory. You understand? So, but when he showed me the picture, when he showed me the picture, it was not like this. It wasn't bright and and clear like this. It was more like it was dark. It was very dark. It was very dark. You understand? So I'm trying to show like a dark room, right? So uh-huh. It's very dark, right? But you can still see Jesus very clearly. Let's see if I can demonstrate this here. It's very dark, but you can see Jesus very clearly. Okay. So I didn't understand why that happened. But let's take a look and see if I can find something that was similar to that. So he's still standing. He's standing in my position, right? He's standing in my position, but there's no light behind Jesus or anything that I saw. And then another thing about the experience, Jesus, you could see light coming from up under his white clothing. You can see the light coming from up under his white clothing. So it's clearly, you know what I'm saying? His body was clearly lit or something. So this is kind of what I saw, but the figure of the man was very clear, crisp, like what I just showed you. But all of the surrounding, the cloud, the white cloud particles had all become dark, like a storm cloud. That could be significant, you know what I mean? So I see it as a clear, uh, peaceful cloud with no rain, and the Polaroid sees it as a storm is coming, as a storm cloud. So that could be significant. I'm just trying to rationalize it best I can. And so he shows me the picture. I see this with a very clear figure in the center that you could see very clearly, and a dark cloud around him instead of the bright cloud that I saw. And then so I said, yeah, that's what I saw. That's what I saw. I saw that. That's Jesus. I saw that man. So I'm thinking, I'm so young. I'm so young. I'm thinking you know, uh, this happens to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So haven't you seen him? That's what was in my mind. Like, surely all of you have seen him because y'all are my elders. You know what I'm saying? You're my uncle. That's my grandmother, the most righteous human I've ever met in my life. And that right, and that's my aunt, my favorite aunt. It's like a loving, extraordinarily loving woman. And so, and my uncle's extremely, is extraordinarily loving too at the same time. Uh, so I'm thinking to myself, like, well, you guys, of course, you guys have seen this, and that's what I thought. But I didn't ask them about that because I just answered this question. You know what I'm saying? I was a very obedient child. Um, after my other abusive aunt whipped me into shape and forced me to be very submissive and uh, and and taught me some discipline. You know what I'm saying? Beat me into discipline. So that's fine. I appreciate her for that. And so I was a very disciplined child. So I didn't ask them all the types of questions and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he said, "Is this what you saw?" And I said, "Yes." So it was a dark cloud around the very crisp and clear figure that you could see in the center standing here, right? You can see him. So it's not like this picture where you can't see him. On the Polaroid picture, you could see him very clearly. He had on the same white robe all the way down to his foot, from his neck to his foot. And so, what struck me about that is that he didn't have any decorations. There was absolutely no decorations, and so no you know, insignias. You know, it's a like a uh, there was no rank on his clothing. You understand? So there's nothing identifiable on the clothing whatsoever. That's what struck me about it. I said, this is so plain, but this is the most powerful uh, being in existence other than his father. So that's what kind of struck me as I was like, I mean, you don't have any self gratification in your clothing at all. No, with no designs, no art whatsoever. There's no rank on his clothing. There was no golden girdle. There was no gold crown. There was no gold rings. There was no gold necklaces. You see what I'm saying? So that really stood out to me. You know what I mean? And it was an amazing experience. So after he showed me that, I said, "Yeah, that's what I saw. I saw this with a clear man standing here. There was no light behind him, and it was just a dark cloud everywhere, like a thunder cloud, like a let me show you, like a you know what I'm saying, a storm cloud. Let's see if they flew a drone into a storm cloud. Maybe they haven't, but let's see. Dark storm cloud. Uh-huh. So yeah, so looking around, I don't really see any representation of it. But in the picture was a a storm cloud. Just think of a dark cloud with the rain. You know what I'm saying? With the rain about to come. You know what I'm saying? Just like this. But it didn't have light behind it like this. It was just all dark, like like a regular storm cloud. Everybody understands that. So he was standing in the center, and I said, "Yeah, that's what I saw." My uncle said, "Okay, you don't have to worry about this picture. It will be safe with me. I'm gonna put it right here on your grandmother's dresser, and so forth and so on." Right. So I looked for that picture the other day, and I couldn't find it. So I suppose he has it with him. And I would desperately, I mean, I'd be, I, wa- I asked him one time, could you please show me the picture because uh, I need evidence of the experience that I had. But he just said, "What are you talking about?" So anyway, I don't know. I know that that's gonna sound funny, as if I'm lying, but but it's all true. So so he said that's the picture's gonna be safe with me. I'm gonna leave it right here, and then uh, on your grandmother's dresser, and I will never lose it. Is what he said. I will never lose this picture. So he dismissed me. You know what I mean? Military man. He said, okay, you know what I mean? Just he didn't say you're dismissed, but I could tell he was finished speaking to me, and I walked away from him out. Back out of my grandmother's room. I was ready to go lie down again so I can get back to sleep. So as soon as I stepped outside of my grandmother's door, let me show you where I'm at now. Uh, Show you where I am now. Bedroom door, okay. Any one of these will do. So, so just imagine uh, in the foreground, um, what I'm saying, closest to the screen, right? This is the background, and this is the foreground here in this area here, right? So just imagine that this is the bedroom door. I just stood at the bedroom door. I walked slightly outside of the bedroom door, and then I see this space here. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother's house is extremely small, so this is ginormous compared to her house. So I walked out of the bedroom door, and then uh, so I'm trying to get to my couch over there where I'm about to go back to sleep, right? And uh, Jesus got my attention again. So I'm looking at. I look to the left, and my grandmother and my aunt are still over there, scared to life. You know what I'm saying? Uh, mm, huh. There's some funny stuff here. Son, man. Yeah, okay. This is good. This is decent. Close enough. Okay, so when I saw, look at that, look at that. Somebody drew my vision pretty much. Uh, I've said this vision so many times to my people. I don't know if he saw the same thing or if he heard me say this. But when I stepped outside of the bedroom door into the hallway again, I looked to the left. Well, I didn't look to the left because I'm trying to get to my couch, get back to sleep. And my aunt and grandma, I could see them out the corner of my eye, like they were frightened, extremely frightened. And so, uh, as a matter of fact, I'm just reflecting on something my uncle told me the other day. He said that my grandmother is extremely afraid of me, and so uh, uh, after reflecting on it for some minutes because I didn't understand why, and then it made sense. He had to tell me that at that time because it made sense because I used to visit her very often. Right, whenever I felt uncomfortable, I needed some guidance or some God talk of how to perform for God properly. I would go to her house. And every time I go to her house, she was extremely afraid of me. And I didn't know why. I thought she was afraid of me because I was a street guy. You see what I'm saying? And being a street guy, maybe she was afraid of, but my grandmother doesn't fear street guys at all. But I guess the closest people to you, they could flip and do things and act crazy because they can get close to you. You know what I'm saying? They can get into your house. You're always welcome at that. This your Some of your enemies are always welcomed in your house, and you don't recognize them as enemies because they're outgoing, boisterous, make you laugh constantly, but they keep you confused and they uh, do things to this what I mean, to spite you all the time, but you just constantly kind of ignore it because they're so hilarious and keep you happy. You know what I'm saying? So when I got into the hallway, this is what I saw. I look up in the ceiling. I didn't see it straight on like this. This information here was up in the ceiling. So I leaned my head up. I could see through the ceiling into this dimension. And this description is very much close to what I saw, except for you could not see the skin texture. You cannot see that. All of this, the face, the the muscles and skeletal structure, the white clothing that he was wearing, because he was wearing from neck to foot. The white clothing was from neck to foot, not like this. It covered his arms, you know. So that type of robe, you understand, covered every piece of the body. But I couldn't see. I could no longer see the robe like when I saw it clearly in the cloud, in the bright cloud and the dark cloud. So I get into the hallway and I see this, but all of the skeletal and muscle and and clothing were consumed with fire. It was his entire body was the sun. I mean, it's super bright like that, super bright like the sun, like this picture. But it wasn't uh, the orangish looking sun here that you see here. It was all yellowish that you can see. You understand the yellow sun, not the orange or reddish sun that you're looking at here. That's what I saw. And oh man, so it was so amazing that I was trying to focus in on. I said, I was thinking to myself, is that the same person that I saw in the cloud? Is that the same man that I saw in the cloud? So I'm kind of trying to focus in on his clothes and I was trying to focus in on the face area because I recognized the face area as being the lion mask that I showed you earlier. So I said that has to be the same man. That man is the is that is what made me appreciate his power more than me being in a cloud, more than him walking in front of me through the cloud into my presence, more than him sending my spirit back to my body. This image is what made me appreciate his power. This was a wild moment that it was so amazing to me. And before I could focus in to determine, I said that has to be the same man. But I could, but I'd be wanting to see things, you know what I'm saying, for myself. So I'm trying to see the very recognizable lion mask that I saw in the cloud. I saw it in both the bright cloud and the dark cloud. So I'm trying to focus while I'm focusing in on that. I fainted. Fainted. Oh, the I could hear the faint. You know what I'm saying? You know when you faint, so a lot of times you can't hear, or you pass out or something like you don't even. You know what I'm saying? That's the last second that you remember. You know what I'm saying? You passed out. So I passed out, and then I woke up a few weeks later. A few weeks later, they didn't take me to the hospital. I don't think. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I was um, in a coma. From this is from what I can gather. You understand? Because they never told me anything about it. They didn't. They refused to speak to me about it. So I woke up a few weeks later, and my aunt was rubbing my face and rubbing my head. The abusive aunt that instilled some discipline in me. She was rubbing my head and my face and stuff like that, and I woke up. Woke up with the mumps. Woke up with the chicken pox. So scientifically speaking, see, you can rationalize these things away by saying, okay, what you experienced the uh, was a chicken pox delirium, and then you had you had experienced sleepwalking. You see, so now, but the problem was that before before I woke up, I didn't have the chicken pox. I didn't have the mumps. So from what I can gather, I was in a coma for a couple of weeks. You know, saying a few weeks. I don't know how long it was. And in that time, when I woke up to my aunt, the abusive aunt now, that never showed any love to me at all, was loving on me, was rubbing my head and my face, and I woke up startled, like she's about to beat me again or something. You know what I'm saying? And I woke up startled, like, so she had a complete change of heart. How? How did she go from despising my ever living guts to loving me? How did that happen? Because of the experience that I had. She realized and respected me from that day forward and realized that I was a special and unique person. She understood it. It changed her mind. I had, you know what I'm saying? She, I'm talking about this person used to beat me every single day, sometimes twice a day. And she would do it so pervertedly. She would wait until nighttime. She'd do it every time. And then put on some uh just her bra and panties. 9,000 times I was beat. She was wearing bras and panties. And then she would, every time she would beat me, she would say, "I'm not beating you because I hate you. I'm beating you because I love you." So that trained and revamped my brain to say, "Oh, love is abuse." So I accept abuse often, very often. I still have that problem to this day, to this day, to this day. I still got the problem of accepting abuse from people because that's quote unquote that's love. You see what I'm saying, bro? This goes deeper than you understand. So how did this woman that beat me? Let me see how many times. Let me see how many times she beat me to give a more realistic uh, uh, answer. Okay, so let's say once a day. Let's say once a day for 2 years. Let's say once a day for 2 years. So you say 2 times 365 equals what? 730, right? Okay. So roughly, she beat me roughly. So sometimes it was twice a day. What, I got beat every day. So uh that's how it would work, you understand? So 730 times, give or take, you know, it's not exact science, but that's what happened. So like I said, this is the last thing I saw before I passed out. I woke up with that person who beat me that many times, rubbing me and consoling me and giving me love. She had never, ever, never, ever, never, ever, ever did that. So that'll tell you that um, when people change dramatically like that, uh, something actually took place that changed their mind. You understand? So ever since that day, I mean, she had never in her wildest dreams said anything out of the way to me. Never. This is a woman that used to destroy me all the time. See what I'm saying? So now, uh, and then after that, the three people that were there, my uncle, my grandmother, and my aunt, were all severely afraid of me. I never understood why. Now, my uncle was a tough guy. He's a career Army, and has fought in many wars. You understand? So he's a tough guy. So why is he afraid of me? You know what I'm saying? I remember seeing him one time, and I had left my car at home, and I was walking somewhere near my neighborhood, and he lives in another state somewhere. So I see him at the store near my neighborhood, and wow, what's going? I said, what's going on? Right? And so I'm walking towards him, and we did our thing, he embraced him and all that good stuff, and and he had reached in his pocket and gave me $20. I guess because he thought I was bumming because I was walking that day. You know what I mean? I didn't have my car with me, so he handed me $20. I guess he thought I was on crack or something. But that was funny. It was just a funny episode. But why are you doing that? Like that's just not something that we do in my family. You know what I'm saying? We don't just hand each other money like that. You know what I mean? And so uh, that I took that as like he was showing me respect. Like he was like, you don't even know who you are. Here, take this $20 because I don't want you to say that I didn't look out for you every time I saw you. You know what I'm saying? I treated you well every single time I saw you and stuff like that. This nature. You know what I mean? So I could give a good report to this thing right here that could destroy him in the lickety split like that boy Thanos and just snap his finger and poof, everything's gone. You understand? So but Thanos is imaginary, and this thing right here that's similar to what I saw is perfectly real. I promise you. I don't care what you think about it being unreal. That's why I express this vision so often because I'm gonna need you to know so that you can be without excuse. You can't. You ain't got no excuse. If you heard this story and you think it's fake, you don't have any excuse at all. Whenever this thing returns to destroy everything, according to this thing's report. So this thing has a testimony and a full history of from the beginning of the heaven and earth to now that is fully recorded. You understand? And so you don't have any excuse at all to deny this being. So that's my testimony, and that's the young lady's testimony, and then that's the young brother's testimony. Let me see if I can find the young brother's testimony in my history, so you can go watch that yourself. Uh, First, I'll show you. Hold on, I'm still screen sharing it. Am I not? Oh man, you can see any of what I was showing you. Okay, so let me go here and show you that this being right here is very similar to what I saw, and the fire was covering every bit of the clothing that he was wearing and covering its face, and so it was all just the sun. So that's what I had been talking about. So hopefully you visualize the other things that I said because I wasn't sharing my screen about stepping outside of the bedroom and viewing viewing this thing. So that was the last part of that vision. Then I woke up a few weeks later. Uh, uh, Apparently, they had not taken me to the hospital, and I woke up severely hungry. So apparently they didn't. Since I was not at the hospital, they was not feeding me through a tube because I didn't have any tubes or anything in my body feeding me. So I woke up kind of hungry. You know what I'm saying? It was a few weeks later. I woke up kind of hungry and was like, "What in the world is going on here? Give me something to eat. Give me something to eat, man." Yeah. So let me show you her testimony here. This is my history. Let's see if I can find her testimony here for you. Excuse me. Hmm. Where in the world is that? Oh, maybe it's on her page here. Okay, we'll go to her page. Uh, let's see if I can find it here. I think it is on her page. Make non-Christ. Man, we're not friends at all. So how did you find my page and why are you writing me? You know what I mean? So where'd it go? So at any rate, that's her story and she's sticking to it. So it's not letting me go, is it? View profile. There we go. Okay. Uh-huh. So if you want to go to her page, right, and then listen to her testimony yourself. You know, maybe you understand things a different way than I do. You understand? So, what in the world? This looks kind of blocked here. Why is it not going to her page? Ha! Ain't that something? So clearly she was lying about her testimony. Had to be. Okay. So yeah, so I asked her, I sent her the Bible verse that said, "Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." She said true. And then I asked her again, "You want to get on in a few to talk about her testimony?" And she said she copied and pasted what she said earlier. Let me show you this right here. She copied and pasted what she showed earlier. Okay. I already told you about the visions God gave me. Let me see here. Hide that. I don't want to be asked questions while people listen. I am not comfortable with it. Your audience follows Jesus, right? The answer is no. So I'm sure they will be understanding and loving. You can feel free to share the message I send you if you think my experience will help others. So she copied and pasted that right here, as you can see. The exact same words, the exact same emoticons. I already told you about the visions God gave me. I don't want to be asked questions while people listen. I am not comfortable with it. Your audience follows Jesus, right? The answer is no. So I'm sure they will be understanding and loving. You can feel free to share the message I send you if you think my experience will help others. Girl! Pew! Get up out of here. That's why you blocked me, because you lying. You lying about your experience. You ain't had no experience at all whatsoever. You see what I'm saying? I tried to take you to this lady's page so that you can hear for yourself. I mean, so I can reference it for you, so that you can see for yourself on your own time and gauge her sincerity and listen to her testimony. You see what I'm saying? So now her testimony is similar to thousands of others. So it appears to me that she just the only reason she did that was for attention, right? And to for attention. She did it. She did that for attention because she's been messaging me for. Why are you messaging me? I don't know you at all. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird. So, but what I'm saying is that this um, written explanation is so simplistic that she could have easily made this up based on the many testimonies that you see on YouTube. You understand? She could have just borrowed from their testimonies and just made something up for attention. There's a lot of people out there like that where they are addicted to attention. What's the word for it? Attention addiction. That's the word for it. Most people love being the center of attention, and it is nice when people pay attention to you or show interest in you. Some people take the desire for attention to extreme or problematic levels by constantly seeking attention through behavior that can develop to be antisocial. See what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure that's what she did. That's exactly what she did. She got the attention she needed and then moved on. So, but of course, my testimony is true. So you do do what you want with that. And I'm trying to see if I wonder if my camera is gonna work now. No, still not working. Okay, well, hope you enjoyed this episode of Claim Your Inheritance. Hit that subscribe, hit the ding ding, and get the notifications to your phone for the next time that I go live. I'm going to be exploring miracles for the next so often, you know what I mean? Like maybe the whole next month. I'm going to be exploring miracles and enjoy the rest of your day.